Before you listen to anything else today, I need to warn you about what this is going to demand from you. This is not comfort. This is not motivation for the sake of feeling better. This is not something that will clap for you while you're still avoiding the hard parts of yourself. If you want real strength, quiet, unshakable strength, you are going to have to accept something most people spend their entire lives running from. You are going to have to learn how to bleed without an audience, because there is a kind of pain that was never meant to be shared, explained, or validated. And there is a kind of victory that doesn't fit inside motivational speeches or conversations. You can have friends, you can have family, you can have support systems, but there are certain battles that were designed to be fought alone. And if you avoid them, you might survive, you might even look fine on the outside. But inside, something weakens, something hollow forms, and over time, that weakness quietly shapes your life. Stoicism never pretended that loneliness was beautiful. It never told you to enjoy suffering or isolate yourself for the sake of pride. It simply told the truth. You cannot control the world. You cannot control people. You cannot control outcomes. But you can control how you respond. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself over and over that strength does not come from applause, praise, or recognition. It comes from character, formed when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even knows what you're carrying. Seneca wrote that the wise person is sufficient unto himself, not because he despises others, but because he does not depend on them to remain steady. And Epictetus was painfully direct. It is not what happens to you that disturbs you, it is the judgment you make about what happens. Different words, same direction. Real power begins the moment you stop outsourcing your soul. So listen carefully now, because what follows is not optional if you want inner strength. There are 7 things no one will do for you. Not because they don't care, not because they failed you, but because these things were never meant to be done together. And the last one breaks more strong people than any other because it looks simple until life collects the debt in full. The first is this: you must heal your own wounds. No one feels your pain the way you do. People can empathize with you, they can sit beside you, they can listen, they can tell you they understand. But when the lights go out and the noise fades, it's just you and whatever is still open inside. If you don't face that wound, it doesn't disappear, it becomes your identity. And when pain becomes identity, something dangerous happens. You start protecting what is destroying you. You repeat the same story, you choose the same patterns, you return to the same people, not because they're good for you, but because the suffering is familiar. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Healing alone does not mean cutting everyone off. It means taking responsibility for what you carry. It means looking directly at the scar and saying, "This happened, but it doesn't rule me anymore." Because there are only 2 outcomes in the end. Either you heal or you get used to bleeding and start calling that normal. And many people never notice when they cross that line. The second thing no one will do for you is discipline your mind. No friend will guard your thoughts at 3 in the morning when anxiety starts inventing worst-case scenarios. No mentor will sit inside your head and stop your focus from drifting. No book, no matter how brilliant, will choose your attention for you when fear, distraction, and memory all start competing at once. Mental discipline is an invisible gym. Nobody sees you train there. Nobody praises you for the reps. Nobody understands how exhausting it can be. Yet it determines exactly who you are when no one is watching. Most people refuse to accept this simple truth. An undisciplined mind is a house with no doors. Any fear can walk in, any opinion can settle down, any memory can take control. And suddenly, you are not living, you are reacting. The world holds the remote control to your emotions, your focus, your behavior. The Stoic trains the opposite response. He observes the thought instead of obeying it. He names it instead of becoming it. He chooses instead of reacting. Less impulse, more command. Because either you control your thoughts or your thoughts will control you. So pause for a moment and ask yourself something honestly. Are you thinking or are you being thought? Because the quality of your inner life will quietly determine the quality of everything that follows. And this is only the beginning. The third thing no one will ever build for you is your vision. And this is where many people quietly give up without even realizing it, because vision is lonely by nature. Greatness is forged in silence, far away from encouragement, far away from certainty, far away from applause. The world only sees podiums, promotions, results, and success stories. It never sees the nights. It never sees the doubt. It never sees the hours where nothing seems to be working and no one is watching. Vision is not something you stumble into. It is a decision. It is choosing who you are going to be before you feel ready, before you feel confident, before you feel supported. It is holding direction when nobody believes you, when nobody understands what you're trying to build, and when nobody can even see it yet. There is a moment in every meaningful journey where progress becomes invisible. No feedback, no validation, no reassurance. And that is exactly where most people quit, not because they lack talent, but because they lack an inner compass. Without a north that doesn't depend on praise, you become easy to steer. Without a direction that doesn't change when someone laughs, doubts you, or leaves, you drift. Your vision is like a small fire in the middle of a long night. If you don't feed it consistently, it dies. And once it dies, other people's plans start replacing your own. The fourth thing you must face alone is learning how to walk away from what weakens you. Letting go hurts, and because it hurts, people confuse attachment with love, routine with purpose, dependence with loyalty. Strength, however, begins exactly where unnecessary attachment ends. There are people, environments, habits, and behaviors that drain you quietly over time. They don't explode your life, they slowly leak it. Like a hole in a boat, you can row all day and still go nowhere because water keeps coming in. The Stoic understands that not everything you want should stay, and not everything that stays is helping you grow. Sometimes the very thing breaking you down is what you keep calling just who I am. Walking away requires a particular kind of courage, the kind no one applauds, cutting an emotional cord when no one sees you struggle, leaving a routine that numbs you rather than destroys you outright, releasing a version of yourself that was comfortable, familiar, and small. Real strength doesn't come from adding more to your life, it comes from removing what makes you weaker. The fifth battle you must fight alone is mastering your emotions. This is where most people misunderstand Stoicism completely. It's not about becoming cold, it's not about becoming numb, it's about becoming a commander rather than a prisoner. Emotion is like fire. It can warm your life or burn it down. People who react too much become predictable. People who explode easily become controllable. And the world is very good at manipulating emotional people. A calm mind, on the other hand, is the sharpest weapon you can carry because it doesn't waste energy on imaginary wars. Learning to react less and reflect more is brutal training, and it happens in private. No one sees the second you swallow the impulsive response. No one notices the moment you breathe and choose not to enter a fight that would only feed your ego. No one applauds when you turn anger into discipline or fear into preparation. But that quiet control is where real power starts forming. Epictetus taught that freedom is internal, and internal freedom begins the moment you stop being a slave to your mood. When you can feel without being ruled, you stop being easy to manipulate, you stop being fragile, you become dangerous in the best sense, dangerous to your own limits. Before we go further, let me pause you here for a second. If this kind of thinking is helping you build more clarity, inner peace, and maturity, subscribe to Stoic Spring. Not as a favor to the channel, but as a commitment to yourself. Because what you consume repeatedly becomes what you think, and what you think eventually becomes who you are. Protecting your mind is not passive, it is an active daily discipline, and no one else can do it for you. The sixth thing you must learn to face alone is being at peace in your own company. This is harder than it sounds, and most people never truly do it. They think they're afraid of silence, but that's not the truth. What they're afraid of is what silence reveals. Silence strips away distraction. It removes performance. It exposes what you've been avoiding. That's why people fill their days with noise, constant scrolling, endless conversations, background sounds, work without rest, stimulation without meaning, anything to avoid sitting alone with their own thoughts. But solitude is not punishment. Solitude is where you meet yourself honestly. It's where you separate ambition from escape, desire from neediness, discipline from distraction. When you learn to be okay in your own presence, something profound changes. You stop begging for validation. You stop accepting emotional crumbs just to avoid feeling alone. You stop negotiating your values for belonging. Seneca spoke about returning to oneself, and returning to yourself is uncomfortable at first. It's like walking into a room you've ignored for years and finally seeing the mess you kept pushing under the rug. At first, it overwhelms you. Then, slowly, it becomes power, because the person who is enough does not need to sell himself. And now we arrive at the seventh thing, the one that breaks strong people the most, the one that separates those who admire Stoicism from those who actually live it. You must learn to get up after every fall. Alone. No one will lift you forever. People may help once, maybe twice, maybe even a few times, but life does not owe you carrying. Eventually, you realize a hard truth. Either you become your own foundation or you collapse on everyone around you. Getting back up is deeply intimate. It's quiet. It's private. It's what you do when you fail and still return, when you lose and still learn, when you're betrayed and still refuse to become bitter, when you're humiliated and still refuse to abandon your character. Marcus Aurelius didn't write like someone performing for an audience. He wrote like someone rebuilding himself from the inside, day after day, with no spectacle. And that's exactly what strength is. You are your own reconstruction, your own resurrection. No hand on your shoulder can replace your decision to continue. And here is the part most people are never told. The path to power is not shared. You will walk in silence. You will bleed in private. You will say no when no one understands. You will train when nobody is watching. You will choose what is right when what is easy is screaming at you. You will get up without witnesses, over and over again, until one day the world looks at you and wonders how you became so solid, so grounded, so unshakable. And the answer will not be dramatic. It will be simple. You faced alone what had to be faced. So ask yourself now, honestly, without performance, without self-deception, which of the 7 are you avoiding right now? Which one are you hoping someone else will do for you? Because strength doesn't arrive when things get easier. It arrives when you stop running. If you want to apply this for real, leave a comment below and say which one is hardest for you right now, and subscribe to Stoic Spring, not for motivation, but for direction, because you don't need more noise, you don't need more opinions, you need clarity, discipline, and inner peace, and those are built the same way strength always has been, quietly, alone, on purpose.